Mafio soul, Mafio soul,
What's good? What's good? What's good? Yo, what's good? Good day. It's a beautiful day. I am KingNABI, and I am the Gangster movie guru. And this is the top 5 series, baby, the top 5. And today, we're doing the top 5 gangster movie deaths. The top 5 deaths in gangster movie history. The top 5 death scenes where they didn't die on the ground crawling. They stood tall and took it like a man. And we're gonna go over the top 5. I gotta give a big, huge shout out to Tod Kopf. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. You made the suggestion for me to do this video. You inspired me to do it. And I thank you, dog. I appreciate that. You're a real gangster movie gangster. And I appreciate that. One love. Peace. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please, everybody, comment, like, subscribe. Let me know your top 5 gangster movie deaths. Let me know how you feel about what I say. Regardless of how you feel, you know I'm the gangster movie guru. I know what the hell I'm talking about. But it's cool, though. Let me know. Talk to me. At any rate, let's get into it. The number five gangster death in gangster movie history is none other than the death of Frank White in the movie King of New York. Frank White, played by Christopher Walken, it starts off in the subway when he ends up meeting up with Victor Argo's character, who's a police officer, you know, Roy Bishop. They meet in the subway. Argo's chasing him, trying to apprehend Frank White. Frank White takes a lady hostage and puts a gun to her head. Now, this is the thing. Frank White has really no intention of killing the young lady, and he makes that clear. He makes an ill speech about how, you know, he's really just trying to uplift and help people or uplift his community, and he's vilified. And if they want to vilify him, he can be that villain. You know what I'm saying? He could be that guy, that monster if he wants, but he doesn't want to be that monster, and they're pushing him to that level. You know, Victor Argo, he's like, well, you know, at some point you're gonna, you know, it's gonna be all over. It's just me and you here. Leave her alone. You know, you can't just hold on to her forever. And he's like, yo, I don't need forever. Lets the girl go, bow, bow, bow. Here's Victor Argo. Now, Victor Argo falls and he passes away. Now, much respect, you know, to law enforcement and all that, but in gangster movies, when the gangster goes out taking out law enforcement, that's some gangster shit, and we big that up. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the opposition to them. That's the antagonist in the film. So, at least if the good guy's going to go out, he's got to take the bad guy out with him. And that's what Frank White does in this film. Now, one thing about it is that Victor Argo is able to let off 2 shots as he falls back and passes away. And Frank White is such a gangster that he just walks, you know, walks out nonchalantly, walks out of the subway, walks, you know, down the platform, up the stairs, out into Times Square. It's packed traffic in New York City. He walks casually into a taxi cab. And he sits there, he's still got his gun in hand. Now police are swarming. And then finally, we get the reveal when he, you know, when he opens his hand and we see the wound in the stomach. And Frank White dies quietly. And that's why it's the number 5 death. Because although, you know, it's an ill death, it's still not as theatrical or as dramatic as some of the other ones that we're going to go into, you know, as the next 4. But the number 5 gangster death, Frank White, King of New York, taking out Victor Argo and then dying in the cab. The number 4 death in gangster movie history is none other than Cleo from Set It Off. Cleo, played by Queen Latifah. Now, I mean, this is just such an iconic scene. Cleo, they've done their last job. They had the shootout in the bank. They all split up. Cleo's in her car, her 6-foot, whatever it is, her hoopty, you know how they do, you know, out there in LA, you know what I'm saying, how they get in with the, so she's in the car and she's surrounded by police. There's police everywhere. So, and she says, you know what? I'm not going to jail. And that's gangster shit. We all know that. I'm not going to jail. So she starts riding through, tries to ride through the police barricade. They light the car up. Bang, 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 bang. You know what I'm saying? As she's smoking, bang, 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 they light her up. So we think she's gone. Okay, the car stops. We think she's gone. But nope, it's not over. It's definitely not over, folks. Cleo ends up with one last hurrah, gets out of the car, starts spraying as she's screaming. She's getting riddled with bullets. And that's what's so gangster about it, is that one bullet can't take her down. She's getting riddled, riddled with bullets. And then, unfortunately, she comes to her demise. However, she did go out like a straight G. She was gangster through the whole movie. You already know that's Cleo. Queen Latifah, the number 4 death in gangster movie history, Cleo, from the movie Set It Off. All right, folks, we're getting to the top 3. The top three, whatever. The top 3 gangster movie deaths in gangster movie history. The number 3, the third best, the third greatest, the third most valiant death in gangster movie history is none other than the death of Kane in Menace to Society. Now, the death of Kane in Menace to Society is interesting because I really want to make it number 1. However, the only reason I don't make it number 1 is because, as opposed to the other deaths that we spoke that are on this top 5 list, Kane is the only one, spoiler alert, Kane is the only one who doesn't shoot back. You know, who doesn't really get a chance to shoot back at his opposition. O-Dog is able to shoot back for him, you know what I'm saying, but Kane doesn't get to shoot back. To give you a scenario, Kane finally decides that he's going to move to Kentucky with Jada Pinkett's character. They're going to leave, okay? He's like, I'm going to leave the street life, the gangster life alone. However, as we know in many gangster movies, things from the past, and in real life too, for real, especially if you're in the streets, things in the past, it could be 5 years ago, it may catch up to you, okay? They may see you later on down the line and it may be on. And this wasn't 5 years, this might have been 5 days or whatever. But, you know, Kane had beat up the girl he was messing with. He beat up her cousin in the projects. He wasn't feeling that. He comes back, does a drive-by while Kane is, you know, moving boxes trying to leave. He drive-bys Jada Pinkett's house and sprays the whole house up. Now, what's so valiant and why this is the number 3 death is because the first thing that's on Kane's mind is Lil Son, Jada Pinkett's little son that's riding his little big wheel, you know, trike down the sidewalk. This is the most gangster shit in gangster movie history, is when you save a child, when you save a woman or a child, when you risk your own life or sacrifice your own life for the life of that child. And that's exactly what Kane did. If Kane was real, we'd have to, if he was a real person, we just have to big him up, because he immediately jumps and covers, you know, I mean, he's running, getting shot, blood's coming out of his mouth, he's getting shot, and he still has enough strength to cover up Jada Pinkett's son in the movie so that he won't get hit in the crossfire. And we got to give it up to Kane for that. 21 gun salute, big ups to him for that, because that was some real gangster shit. And that's the third greatest death in gangster movie history, Kane in Menace to Society. Now the number 2. We're up to the top 2. The number 2 death in gangster movie history is none other than the death of Cody in White Heat, starring James Cagney. It's another gangster film. I'm going to definitely touch on White Heat in the podcast. He comes up, he starts from the bottom, gets to the top, and at the end of the film, you know, he's being chased by the police. They have him really at some kind of like factory kind of thing. You know, I was raised in New Jersey, so it looks like some shit off the Jersey Turnpike, you know what I'm saying? Or off Route 1 and 9, I don't know, but you know, he's over there and he gets into a shootout with cops. He's got the rifle, he's taking out, you know, law enforcement, as he goes now. And I'm sorry, just to backtrack, prior to this, he was in prison, and an undercover cop befriended him while he was in prison, and this is the same cop that betrayed him, so there's that whole, story with that. So this same cop is out there, and he's the cop that ends up taking Cody out. Now, the reason why this is so gangster is because not only does he take out a myriad of officers with him, he stands tall and he goes out gunning. However, also it takes like about 8 shots from the rifle to dead him. And then it's not even really the rifle shot that deads him. He kind of deads himself because he like shoots and hits. He's like, y'all ain't gonna take me out. He shoots, and I'm not sure, I can't remember, correct me, I can't remember exactly if he did it on purpose or accidentally. However, he shoots and he sets off an explosion and he goes up in flames. And what's more gangster than going up in flames? You know what I'm saying? He goes up in a ball of fire, and that's the end of him. Is super theatrical. It's a great end to a classic film. To me, that's probably the greatest. I like it better than Public Enemy and Little Caesar. I feel like White Heat and probably Scarface, the 1930 Scarface as well. I feel like White Heat was the greatest gangster film of that era, and James Cagney's death in the end of that film is just so great and iconic. Please go back and check that film out. It's a classic. If you're a gangster movie fan, you got to watch that, because that's one of the movies that set it off, that started off in Hollywood. Let me wipe this off. He went up in a ball of flames. I'm sweating. Everything's hot. You feel me? We're up to the last and final, the number one, the greatest death in gangster movie history, where the gangster stood tall and didn't go out like a sucker, ain't go out on his knees begging for mercy. Now, before I get into this, I want to touch on a few other deaths in gangster films that some may argue. For instance, the death of, Carlito and Carlito's Way. He went out, he took out a myriad of gangsters on the way out. However, he was got by Benny Blanco, and as he was trying to save his lady, it didn't quite make the cut because of the way that he went out, because Benny Blanco caught him kind of off guard, you know what I'm saying? So he didn't really get the chance to fight back against Benny. However, he did take out a whole lot of gangsters, prior to that in the subway. Okay. We have, other deaths in gangster movie history. Little Caesar, he kind of went out, he kind of just got shot up from around the corner. There's a few other, a few other great gangster movies. Nicky Santoro in Casino. He had to watch his brother get killed, but he was kind of, they put him in the trunk, they tied him up mafia style, so he didn't really have much time to fight back. You know what I'm saying? He could spit in your face and say, fuck you, suck my dick. He didn't go out like a total sucker. However, at the same time, he wasn't able to, stand tall and fight back. So, at any rate, let's get into the number one, to the greatest. You already know what it is if you're a gangster movie fan. This is the most iconic, one of the most iconic scenes in film history, period. Definitely the most iconic death in film movie history. And it is none other than, drum roll please, woo-hoo. Yeah, we don't even need a drum roll, because it is none other than the death of Tony Montana, Scarface, face full of coke. Face full of coke, going out like a straight G. We already know everything that goes into this. To give you what led up to it, Tony went out to New York City to assassinate a politician. However, there's a man, a boy and a child in the car. He didn't want to take out the kids, and so he ends up, and they're like, nah, you got to take him out. He's like, fuck you. He kills one of Sosa's assassins. At any rate, Sosa's mad. He's like, there's never going to be another chance. Because of you, I've got all these people on my neck, blah, blah, blah. I told you a long time ago not to fuck with me. Hangs up on Tony. Tony's like, who the fuck do you think you're talking to? But it's too late, because Sosa's already bringing them peoples, okay? Them peoples come through like goddamn ninjas. You know what I'm saying? It's like how they did Ox and Belly. You know that scene had to be inspired by this. There's no cheetah, but, well, there is sort of a cheetah, but he comes with a shotty instead of a blade. However, Tony, He's in the mansion. All these people are coming out. They take out his security. They're running through the compound. He's having a conversation with his sister, who's really angry that he killed Manolo, you know, for out of jealousy, you know, because he was mad. And she's like, "Oh, so you're so jealous? Well, you must want me." Really weird and awkward scene, to tell the truth, with his sister. However, the assassins come through. They kill his sister. He guns a few down. He takes, you know, a whole line of coke. Goes through, "Oh, you fucking cockroaches. You know what I'm saying? You want to fuck with me?" Sprays, has the big M60, sprays everybody in the crib. He's spraying everybody coming up and down. Unfortunately, the last dude, scary dude with the shades on, comes through with the shotty and gets Tony, and he falls down symbolically into, over the railing, into the little, I guess, pond or well, fountain, excuse me, that he has in his house with the "World Is Yours" statue globe thing behind it. And it's just a great scene, a magnificent scene, super theatrical, a lot of bullets flying, just exciting. Just one of those scenes like where if you want to see a gangster, your favorite character in the movie, die, that's how you want to see him go out. You know what I'm saying? Everybody loves Tony. You don't want to see him go, but if he's got to go, that's the best way that he could possibly go. Big up to the writers, big up to Brian De Palma and all that for directing that scene. Big up to Al Pacino for his role and for playing that scene so beautifully. And you know, that's it right there. That's the top 5 deaths in gangster movie history. The top 5 deaths in gangster movie history when the gangster stood tall in death and didn't die on his knees. Once again, big ups and shout outs to the gangster, to the straight up G, Tod Kopf, for the suggestion, for the comment, for the inspiration to do this top 5 video. One love, much love to you, peace and love to everyone, creativity, abundance, and prosperity to all. The thoughts and opinions in this video and in my podcast are the thoughts and opinions of me, Kwaku KingNABI, the gangster movie guru, because I know what the hell I'm talking about. Much love. And I'm out.